more technical sessions, and this is geared towards sort of people who are joining the DRiddle Human Agency, as well as some of our users and partners that we are collaborating with. Um, we are kind of going over some of the principles based on which our platform is getting designed, and sort of the different aspects of human AI collaboration, AI integration into different systems, and things like that. So, hello, I am Surya Taparoy. I'm the founder of DRiddle platform, um, and we are looking into and studying different sort of human AI relationships and collaboration frameworks. When we say meaningful human AI relationship, the current media and a lot of these disturbing things that are going on in the world, forming unnatural bonds with computing systems, and a lot of negative impacts of that in society that is getting talked about. It's easy to think about these kinds of images and try to generate value from those kinds of products. But in reality, we have been living in an AI powered world for quite some time now, be that personalization of products and services, advertisements, or the media and the movies that we watch. A lot of things are already integrated into a lot of AI systems, but currently, AI has just become more accessible to end users for their use. And that has really good implications, but also can have really bad effects on society. We all have this vision of things like at Star Wars, of a humanoid robot assisting us, and there are great use cases for those kinds of applications. But in reality, or the more practical versions of that, are assistants that can help a novice pilot fly a plane or a helicopter as accurately as an experienced person. That reduces adoption barriers to different technologies, different advancements of science. To general public or someone without the specialized training or that sort of a background or history in a field. And it eases the adoption of some of the advancements that might be incomprehensible to the human mind in after like a certain life cycle and professional background. Maybe adopting newer technologies just become harder and harder. And in those cases, AI can really be of assistance. But the fundamental question is, why AI at all? Like if you ask a chatbot that why do humans need AI, it will give you a list of very convincing answers. And let's say a top answer is that they are able to handle massive amounts of data. Um, if you ask them that how can you handle this data or detect patterns from this data, it will give you reasons that it understands mathematics and observations, that it has learned from reading a lot of books about different topics. It will list you different categories of mathematics and so on. And if you keep going down that route, it will tell you that it understands these things or it is coming up with these theories by extrapolating information that it has seen. And any identity that an artificial intelligence has does not come from a sense of self. It doesn't know why it knows things. It knows that it knows things because it has been told that that is true. Even the fact that an AI knows that it knows something comes from the idea that it has read books or papers or other sort of philosophical aspects of intelligence that implies to that system that it has learned only certain aspects of reality, and there are all of these things that it does not know. But there is no real internal feedback loop which humans do, and reasoning or mathematics for human or an intelligent species is not just symbolic mathematics that we know of or think of when we hear that term. Symbolic mathematics like algebra or geometry is only one kind of reasoning, but even when we are changing the proportions of a recipe to fit something different, or trying to place an object at a particular location, or moving furniture, assembling things, we are constantly doing different forms of mathematics and reasoning and calibrations in our mind, and we just do it implicitly. And even the person who thinks that they are really bad at math, it might actually be really good at math in a different realm of reasoning. Um, and this sort of comes really into how our memory works. I don't want to get into too many details about this here, but um, we are constantly forming these frameworks of memory that is in the working space, as well as deeper connections formed with our past experiences, and then the storage of our current experience in relationship to our previous experiences and forming long-term memories. And a lot of computation and mathematics that we implicitly infer comes from that process. So there is um, the whole notion of mathematics being understood under these different frameworks of reasoning that has been documented so far in our history, or books have been written, is only 20 to 30% of the actual mathematics that we implicitly understand. And there we are still like scratching the surface of understanding of how humans do all of these complex things. And so there is not really that much information out there to learn from or to train a model on. So any understanding that it has, even the fact that it knows it doesn't know certain things, comes from philosophers telling that okay, even human history, we only know so much of ourselves, and so it extrapolates that information from that idea. Um, and so the possibilities are um, infinite, but also over reliance on AI technologies and um, sort of not developing human skills and human intelligence is a great risk as well. So you have to really now think about why AI from a business point of view and what are all the motivations that businesses have in developing and adopting AI. Um, and these are real problems in the world. Anyone who has worked in the industry long enough and with people, um, they will tell you there are n number of good things about working with other human beings and other teammates, but there are also all of these challenges and frustrations that come out of that. And it is easy to find an escape route and be like, okay, all of these things can be automated or can be um, sort of built systems for, and so then that lessens the complexity of human interaction. Um, with that sort of an ideology, you can think of that, okay, clients don't have specifications. There are these pipelines in the current systems where people gather specifications from clients through meetings and going through their problems. And you can think that an AI system can take over that pipeline and figure out what that person needs. Um, and then there are also um, all of these workload and stress elements of not having complete specifications. And then even if you build a great team, there might be someone who just leaves the team because of a better opportunity. And then there is technical debt. There are all of these unfinished things that only one person really knew about. And all of these things have a multiplicative effect on loss of connection and why teams fail. And so it is also easy to think that if AI system could build these expertise or these components of the application, then maybe we get out of that situation and we streamline processes and make deliverables more efficient. Um, and that could be one possibility, but the other, there are so many risks or other scenarios that come out of that way of approaching AI and human AI interaction. Um, the real problem is actually this sort of more human to human interaction and designing of organizations and information sharing. People just have lack of engagement, focus, distraction. There's feedback loops that are missing, and those are the kind of things that are leading to the effects that we are seeing. And it might be much more efficient to solve these underlying problems with AI systems or with other technologies, instead of just trying to put a band-aid on getting certain results out of it, right? And then you have to really dig deeper on a personal level, that what are the problems that an individual is facing that has that cumulative effect and affects their connection and relationships with their coworkers or with the clients or just in general their work-life balance satisfaction, right? There are all of these things that we want to do, that we are seeing all the time, and we are overwhelmed by all of this information. And we don't really have the mechanisms of planning for certain things or all of the things that we want to do. How do we get to do that? And there is a lot of implicit dissatisfaction that comes out of that. So maybe there are ways of figuring out those problems with AI systems and with other interaction mechanisms as well. um, I'll break down some of the problems in current way of interactions and current ways of building connections. Um, Information is not truth, and the philosophers have talked about these different paradigms where each person can only observe one partial characteristic of a system, and the real system is like a god view of the world. No one individual has the ability to view that system in a complete sense. You can only take decisions based on what you can observe, and the only way you can maximize your understanding is by talking to other humans who are observing different parts of the system. And some of these observers now can be AI observers, and that can help you build better pictures of the truth and get to that truth faster than you alone or one person's mind alone could have achieved. Um, and from a business point of view, an idea is not a product. Like a scientist coming up with a theory or coming up with a understanding of a physical phenomena converting that idea into a product that actually has value and meaning for other humans can take decades or hundreds of years. Um, and that is also in the current scenario a very big problem, that we talk about AI generating value overnight, or AI being able to become a scientist or solve all of world's problems, discover new theories, and come up with all of these novel ideas. And we expect that that is going to become a product or a value generating system in a quick, short turnaround time. And there is no precedence for something like that happening. For an actual system to be built, there are materials, mechanisms, procedures. There are a lot of understanding of who needs what, value generation from an end-to-end pipeline, and building those relationships, building those connections, building those needs for a product to fit into. That takes a long time. And from a product of value, you really have to think about what are the problems in the real world that a solution can address, and in future, what all it can enable that is not possible in the current way of doing something, right? Like electricity enabled travel at night, it enabled large classrooms and big school buildings, and then it evolved into enabling scientific research, lab experiments, all of these things that without electricity were not even ever possible, right? So it has had so many impacts on value generation. And every time we don't really think about electricity as being the source of all of this, but you have to now really start thinking about all of the things that an AI technology can impact in a good or a bad way. For the next 100 years, right? And then also, this is one of our generation's biggest problems, that we have a lot of functional things around us that generate value, that generate profits for different stakeholders. But the life cycle of that product is very bad. It is marginally usable. Maybe there's 20% of all of the functionalities of it that we actually end up using. And then all of the 80% of things that don't really generate value for us, that we don't really use, add complexities to the system that ends up being a nightmare from a life cycle management point of view. There's wastage, there is recycling issues, there is a generation of all of this noise, because it was someone's assumption that 80% of these features were useful to people, but most people don't use them or never ended up learning how to really benefit from it. So that is also one of the greatest risks of using AI technologies, that if we can do things faster, and everyone can do it without needing a huge barrier, or needing to cross a huge barrier to get into a particular field, and people are not thinking about all of these things, then we can amplify this whole bad life cycle products in a great way. And in all settings of society and the planet, that is something that we really cannot afford to do right now. And so we have to be preemptive and start using these technologies to come out of that loop, and not really think about personalization, that what is this 5% of functionality that these 100 people will benefit from, and what is this 80% of functionality that only 2% of people benefit from, right? And resource allocation, designing of systems should really adapt to these kinds of nuances. And I think if we start thinking in that direction, then we can solve a lot of the problems, or at least not amplify it further. And so that is one of the motivations behind the DRiddle platform as well. We are enabling both our users as well as people who are part of the human agency to think along those principles and to use systems within those constructs, right? And I'll break down these constructs into understanding the meaning, um, understanding reasoning, connection, and purpose. And so, how these things connect to each other, and what are all the different sort of questions for different scenarios, that is a ongoing process. And people who are joining our platform, we will continue to develop and sort of generate awareness around all of these concepts through different mechanisms that we have. This is a broad overview, also meant for more sort of an information on a general sort of a public platform, and it is also to given a context to all of the people who are joining the human agency and will be working on these projects with us. So let's take an example. Like if you have this repository on GitHub that's open source, and you don't really know about that application area, or what the actual code base is, normally or previously it would have taken a person at least a day to really understand all of the code in that repository, to figure out why to use it, how to use it, and generate skills from that. But with, let's say, something like a GitHub Copilot, you can now inspect or understand the implementation and the applications of that very quickly. So that can really enable a person to do a lot more critical thinking without going through that rigor of understanding the syntax and the implementation, and sometimes the noisy implementation of different code bases. And that is a great use case that, at least for me, really works well in what I do. Um, so if you ask that system that what are all these algorithms that are in here, it will give you a list, and it will probably one of this implementation is the main topic of that project. And so then you can dig deeper that why did you need to build this algorithm, what is it different from the other ones that are the alternatives, what can you get out of it, and all of those kinds of nuanced questions. Right now you're really starting to think about all of its applications, when something would fail, why would it fail, what can be extended to, that you can contribute to, and all of those things. Connection also really comes from putting a technology into a scenario and thinking about who is the user of this system, or what is the kind of inputs or outputs for that system, and really then doing certain scenario plannings around that idea, that if I were this person, or if I had this kind of data, then how would I use it? And sort of start connecting your different sort of concepts in your mind with the application that you have already built in your sort of knowledge or reasoning space. Um, Purpose, you have to then now think about, okay, now that I've thought about a use case or a person or the kind of data, now you're thinking about what are the kinds of value adds or problems that you can solve for this kind of a person, what is missing in their life that they would benefit from, and so on, right? So then you are adding more details to this entity, that okay, if I had an individual whose personal health data it was, what kind of a person this is, what are all these attributes about this person, what are all his pain points, then you can get to sort of more nuanced understanding of the technology. And then that's just the beginning of the process, right? Like now that maybe if your agenda was to just learn about that tool, then you can stop there and move on. But it is rare that a person would just go around looking at um, tools or technologies without any motivation or drive behind it. So the assumption is that you had some reason to come to that project in the first place. Maybe you were trying to learn about security space in general, or you're trying to build something. And so then the whole process is practicing and continuing that process with many other alternatives. What is the most recent? What is failing? What has happened? Events that have happened in the world that leads to these issues. Um, and I'll give you a scenario in this case where, let's say, someone wants to do mushroom farming, um, and we need to get to the information and the truth of this scenario, right? And this is a sort of a grounding of some of the services or the applications that we are building on the platform. And a user on the platform can have this idea, and that could be grounded in many things. Maybe they are surrounded by a farm, or they have access to wildlife, or a forest or a harvest region, or they are really passionate about mushrooms and their applications. They have benefited themselves from different products that come out of it, or they went to some kind of a training program or in business school, and now they're thinking about monetization or potential applications of different natural products, right? So a person can have different motivations for coming up with an idea or wanting to do something, and they can go interact with an AI system and try to understand what they need to do, the whole supply chain of it, the availability of different growing materials, seeding materials, accessibility to different parts of this land, how easy it is to harvest something, how easy it is to find all the raw materials needed, and all of those things. And an AI system will only have so much information that it has read from books and things like that. If there is no documented knowledge about a particular land or a forest region where this person is aiming to build this business out of, then any of the results that come up or any of the information that they get will be very generic. And then now they would have to start customizing these guidelines for their particular use case, right? And this is where a lot of human connection and collaboration starts to really play a very big role. They can, find a mentor or a person who is in that business, maybe in a nearby region, or they can call an expert who would know more about a particular type of soil or a particular type of harvesting, and they can invite them to come inspect their plot. And there are different kinds of connections that can be formed, and that ranges from very sort of software driven technical aspects, but can also be very scientific or very supply chain focused, right? So a person now needs to think about all of the different aspects and the different who's going to use it, what is the feedback cycle, what are the motivations, why would somebody buy it, what is the urgency in the market, can I do this in 1 year or do I do this in 5 years, what is my growth strategy, and based on all of those questions, the budgets that they allocate or the planning that they do in terms of their time, their money, all of those really comes from these questions. And if you're starting from a very generic pool of information, and using different tools that are just accessible, then you might really fall into a bad spot where you don't have a full clarity, or you might be misled into thinking that you are clear on what everything that needs to be done, because a lot of these LLMs and AI models answer your questions very confidently. So, like, it is equivalent to talking to a very confident expert, and who is giving you these very assuring responses. And so, it is easy to fall into that mindset where you think that, oh, this is simple to do, or I have all the information that I need in order to get where I want to get. And when a person really is interacting with AI systems continuously, and they're always getting these high certain T and high confidence responses, then it's sort of it can lead to delusions and can lead to psychological impacts on a person. Um, so you have to really start interacting with AI systems in the construct of that, whatever is the idea, I'm talking to something, an entity, about an idea, and we are generating more ideas from that, and it's not necessarily the truth. And it's good to even think about all of these aspects when we are interacting with other humans, your teammates, your colleagues, your supervisors, all of that. And we don't explicitly make a habit of thinking about communication in a more strategic way, but this kind of strategic thinking can enable good use of technology, as well as enhance your communication skills, your collaboration abilities with other people. So how do you get to this whole plan of taking the idea of growing mushrooms, and this is the land, this is, maybe I got in some experts to look at it, now I have a plan of what to grow, how to grow, and where to source things from. But how do we really make it into a product? We have to start thinking about what are my nearest points where I can sell it. Who are the middlemen who will transport this? Do I manage that, or there are existing infrastructure that you can leverage? Who has the most need? What kinds of products that are most in demand in a local market versus a global market? Do you want to sell things online? Do you want to sell things in a local grocery store? Are there restrictions on being able to sell certain things in certain cases, and so on? So you have to think about the whole life cycle of that. And maybe in a lot of these scenarios, an AI system can only give you directions that, okay, you need to now do this kind of connection building, or sort of minimum viable product and things like that. But you really have to go look at things and investigate things, or find people, find connections who are in those locations, or are in those fields, in those markets, who know more about that area, right? So connections are very important. Any technology, be it AI driven, or be it another local business that is providing some service to you, no technology is complete on its own, and a lot of different things have to be connected together in order to make something work end to end. And that's really driven by our users, or a person who has this idea or the need to do something. It is about their ability to reason and think and make those connections, and that takes a lot of experience in general, right? And our whole system of learning practical applications, or learning to use different physical tools, or learning to do different chemistry experiments in school, all of the things that we've done over our lives, talking to our friends, working in group projects, or playing team sports, all of those things form connections in our brain that impact a random decision that we make that seemingly has no connection with any of those things. And so facilitating experiences for people is also a very critical aspect of the platform that we are building. That, like, okay, even for me, like, when you come out of school or university, and you start working, and you really get focused into particular projects or particular workflows, you start to reduce your novel experiences in the sort of format that you get stuck into, right? We all just get stuck into routines, good or bad habits, but the novelty of collecting information or of experiences, that sort of gets sidestepped. And if anyone trying to do anything new, or come out of that loop, the real value addition or the real human factor in any process is the novelty of the experiences someone has. And building like assembling an IKEA furniture is not really just about building a cupboard. It is about the process of you figuring out how to do that, and figuring out to how to assemble something, bring in the tools, and going through the frustration and going through that procedure for your mind. And so a lot of stuff becomes more convenient as different services provide service providers or handyman or help, and those are also needed at critical times when you are overloaded, and you don't have the time to do something, and you are stuck with a lot of clutter in your to-do list. But it is also important to balance that out with the things that you are doing and the things that is adding value to you. um, and this is an overarching principle, and this is a real problem, or an opportunity for our platform, that we are facilitating these experiences for our users within different constructs. And we are really enabling people towards this goal of independent businesses, more sort of flourishing ideas, diversification of economy, and all of those things. And value generation for our users, or for any product, any service, is really about the value that you bring to everyone around you, and the connections that you build, and your dedication, and your ability to really plan things not just for yourself but for others around you as well. You Anything new that you are trying to do, you have to build your own ecosystem to support that idea. And maybe someone is doing something similar, or something that complements what you are doing, but to convince them to think a little outside of their box, and to see how that idea can be fit into what you are trying to get out of something, even that takes strategizing and different planning and scenario building approaches. And really, going forward, we and the following generations have to think about sustainability. It is not just a keyword. We really see that all the time. And now that, on individual levels, we interact with products and services more than anyone else has ever done before. Um, each individual feels that, like, these things that you buy online, or you saw this advertisement and it was going to solve these problems. Maybe it did solve partially, but your ability to stick to something, or your ability to keep generating value out of a product, even if the product is good or serviceable, your interaction with something really governs the sustainability aspects of that. Like, we are constantly buying a lot of gadgets and things like that that we use a couple of times. Like, I was going to make smoothies every morning, but I have three kinds of smoothie makers that I haven't touched for months, right? And things go, bad, or things break down in its own sort of life cycle, and things go to the trash. It is also to really think about the impact that your choices and your lifestyle has on the world around you, right? And we need to build systems and build mechanisms for people to think and interact with systems within that framework that enhances sustainability. And it also, I feel, helps a person on an individual level, their mental health, their clarity, and all of those things. We all want to contribute and be productive, and do all of the right things, and not being able to fit or meet those expectations of ourselves also leads to a lot of dissatisfaction, and a lot of mental clutter or mental health issues. And designing your life or building strategies to mitigate that can really be useful. And so for our users of the platform, as well as anyone who's enabling our users to build products and build services, and coaching them or working with them, we are laying down these frameworks. We are going through these training sessions, and really enabling end to end everybody to think critically, and build things in a more sustainable fashion. Risk is a very, very important factor of this, um, and um, understanding risks, where your information goes, if you're interacting with a large scale chatbot, any nuanced information that you might have provided it regarding your ecosystem, or regarding any of the strategies that you were developing, it is likely, or it is possible, that that information goes to the next person who has similar questions or similar problems that they are trying to solve. And that is sort of against fair market policies, or different kinds of um, growth cycles, that you are disposing of, or missing out on opportunities because you didn't understand fully what the risks were of using a system. Um, and you will see these conversations everywhere with risks, compliance, privacy issues with AI. And the governments are talking about it, and maybe a lot of regulations will come up. And a lot of companies are also trying to build systems that respect these boundaries. But it is also on an individual level, especially when you are trying to develop economic advantage for yourself. It is important to have full clarity on your actions and the consequences of those actions. Um, so we, as the solution providers for this kind of a development of an ecosystem, we are looking at all of these risks and sustainability issues, life cycle management issues, and we are trying to build more holistic solutions for that. And connecting people, connecting the right people to right solutions is a key aspect of all of this. Um, and like most of you would be familiar with the different aspects of the platform. We are really focused on balanced living for both our service providers, clients, users, and we are not just looking at this from one point of view, but trying to really strike a good ecosystem and a balance between collaboration. Um, for reference, you can find a lot of videos and training material on the YouTube channel. There are just information, recordings, other people's work, a lot of use cases and things like that that I have compiled on the channel, and I'll keep compiling these things for learning. It might be a good idea to review these if possible before we start onboarding on the platform. And yeah, on the platform we will really go dig deeper into some of these pipelines, and try to generate our value additions to these. But I think for anyone who is working on this platform, it is also an upskilling process to like start thinking about it from these perspectives, and to learn more about the nuances and the risks that are to come, and are really going to impact us in 10-20 years. So yeah, with that, I think our session is over for today.